everyone, this is Sarah Fernandez-Lopez with the Bad Dog Agility Show. We're going to start off with our mic check and video check. Make sure that everybody can see me. I'll wait for a thumbs up from my crew in the back. But we have the Agility Summer Series 3 and it is hot out here. All right, I'm getting thumbs up, so our audio must be doing okay now. We have the third of our series that we decided to do for the summer. These are sequences that we're going to set up and run in a couple of different ways. And then later we'll have a download for you where you can get some nested sequences to run. So let's start with the sequence. This is actually a sequence taken from a Janet Gaunt Grand Prix course from a couple of years ago. And this is the beginning of the course, so you can have your lead out. It starts with this jump here. We have jump, jump, into the tunnel. And now this next part is the part that we're going to be focused on, and that is we're going to go from this tunnel to this jump to this jump. This jump is here. It was the first jump, but it's basically a trap at this part of the course when we turn and go to this jump. This actually was the weave poles right here, but we've replaced that with a jump for easy setup. So we're going to do this a couple of different ways. We're always going to start 1, 2, 3. And the first thing that we want to show you is coming in here and doing a front cross. So as your dog is in the tunnel, getting to the other side of the tunnel, and then what we want to do is after the front cross, we want to show some deceleration at this jump to create a nice tight turn from this jump. So we miss this jump and we get this jump. And this is something that people sometimes forget to practice, is going into a deceleration right after doing a front cross. So a lot of dogs, when you do a front cross, they're going to be in kind of that acceleration mode. So we want our dogs to pay attention to what we do after the cross. So here we're going to do a front cross, and then we're going to show that heavy deceleration there. And if our dog has a good understanding of deceleration, a nice strong deceleration cue at this jump is all it takes to keep our dogs off of this jump. If we decelerate here, get in that extra stride, they start turning, and then we turn and go in this direction, there should be no thought in our dog's mind of going to this jump. So that's the first thing that we're going to try. We do have demo dogs, even though it is so hot out here. So we're going to start with our small demo dog.
That jump is not in view.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. It's just the first jump. It's like the lead-in jump. If you want, you can move the camera slightly. So here we have Trek.
Only these two jumps are in view.
Huh, not here.
There it is.
All right, we're ready to go. All right, nicely done. So we can see how she used that deceleration cue there to get that nice tight turn. Our video is looking good? All right, we had a little snag on video, but it looks like we've got that cleared out now. So let me get my toy. We've got a second demo dog here. And then we're going to have some slow motion video for you so that you can really see what's happening. And these small space exercises are actually, this is a pattern that we have from our online courses where we'll set up something small like this, and we'll have several different ways of doing it. And then not only do we have the slow motion video, but we also do coach's eye analysis on it. So where we slow it down almost frame by frame and use the drawings and the arrows there. Give, sit, good boy, over, over, tunnel, over, good boy. So there we can see, now, of course he is jumping low, but even with this large dog, large stride, we're going to get that nice tight turn by showing that deceleration. So now we'll show it in slow motion. All right, so that's our first try, but one thing that a lot of people might like to try doing when they've done this front cross is to do a yaka or a K-turn here. So to come in and instead of decelling and turning with the dog, turning our shoulders the same way the dog is turning, to come in and turn against the dog and pick them up. So this has the effect of really tightening up this turn. Now I think a well-taught decel can absolutely give you great turns, but this coming in and turning against the dog is a great way to signal that turn, and it kind of keeps the handler flowing a little bit more, so it can sometimes be easier to execute for a lot of handlers. So we'll start that with our small dog here. Very nicely done. So again, we're going to see that nice tight turn here with that blind cross turn. So again, that's turning against the dog. So the dog's turning this way, the handler is turning this way to create that turn. So we'll go ahead and show you the slow motion video of that, and then we'll get our large dog for a demo. Now we have slow motion of our small dog. All right, so now we'll take Venture out here and give him a shot live. Finn, get. Good boy. Give. Sit. Good sit. Over. Over. Tunnel. Good boy. So you can see that we turn right through that. And with all of these options that we're trying, there's not right or wrong here. These are different handling moves that all work in this situation. All right, give it a shot. There you go. So all of these moves will work here, but what you're going to find when you work through them is that some are going to feel more natural than others. And so by practicing different options, first of all, you're going to learn what feels best for you and your dog, because it's not always what you think it's going to be. But secondly, where things don't feel as comfortable, you don't want to shy away from that. You actually want to use the practice to get better at that, so that in a real trial setting, you have all of the options available to you. So that if on that particular setup there's a trap that the front cross opens up, that the rear cross takes away, that you feel comfortable doing that. So that's why we really like to set these sequences up and not just run the sequence to get the sequence, but run it in a variety of different ways, get that training in one setup, lots of different options for us to try. It's also, you know, efficient training. All right, so the next one that we're going to do, again, 1, 2, into the tunnel, is we're just going to go ahead and blind while our dogs are in the tunnel. And this is a nice, easy blind, especially if you're not as comfortable with blinds or you haven't done as many of them. The whole thing ideally happens while the dog is in the tunnel. As far as the dog knows, you could have come in here and front cross, because as they're coming through, by the time they can see you, you're reaching back, you're looking over the shoulder, and you're picking up your dog. And that goes for either one. So you could have come in here, front cross, here's the picture the dog sees. You could come in here, get your dog in the tunnel, turn around, here's the picture your dog sees. At this point, the picture is exactly the same. So this is a great opportunity to try a blind cross, and a lot of people are going to find that it's easier for them because they just run straight through, they don't take their eyes off the course, and they don't have to do any footwork really or any turning on the knees. So that's kind of the benefit of the blind cross here. So let me do just a little bit of tunnel straightening here, and then we'll get Trek out. I know it's not Trek that's running these tunnels. I know that would be my dog Venture. All right, so let's see Trek with the blind. Very nice. So you can see that Brittany was completely done with that blind cross by the time Trek could see her coming out of that tunnel. And you guys have a great view because you can kind of see into the tunnel. And you can see that she was already through the blind by the time she got to that point. So we'll do the slow motion. And you can see from the way that the tunnel's moving where Venture is. And I'm completely done with that blind before he gets there. All right, so now let's do Venture. Then. Give, sit, good sit, good sit, get, good. Come here. Get up here. Yeah. Good. Over. Over. Tunnel. Bin, 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 bin. Over. Good boy. I think we destroyed a tunnel and a jump there. But you can see how early we're going to finish off that blind there. And so now the final option that we want to try is the rear cross. So with this setup, if you can let your dog, there's a lot of distance between this jump and this tunnel, and if you can let your dog go and get that tunnel, it's pretty easy to make it over here to the front cross. But for anybody who has a big difference in speed between them and their dogs, you're going to want to practice that rear cross and make sure that you have that skill. Because anytime you get behind on course, you're going to want to have that available to you. So here we're going to get our dogs in the tunnel. Now, the thing about this rear cross is we need our dog to get ahead of us. So the dogs coming through this tunnel, we don't want to meet them over here because then we have nowhere to go. We get stuck waiting for our dogs. We want to be a little bit further back. Anticipate when our dog is coming out of this tunnel. We want to give them the command to take the jump. So I'm going to say over, and then I'm going to start running this diagonal and pressuring this line. And that's going to create the rear. Now, this particular rear is a little dangerous because it creates a turn after the jump. When they turn after the jump, what do they see? They see that blue and white. So the rear cross itself does not take away that blue and white jump. So we're going to need to do our rear cross, and then we're going to kind of abort our rear cross in the middle, showing some heavy deceleration, and we're going to call our dogs named so that they're cued in on us, and then we're going to turn and take off in this direction. And that turning and taking off, that's going to be the final piece of the cue. So the rear cross tells them we're going this way, and then when we go off in that direction, that's going to tell them, okay, and now we're taking this jump. And that's how we're going to let them know that we want that wrap behavior on the rear cross. But you do lose an element of control relative to the front cross. That's why I think a lot of people can be hesitant on rear crosses, but you want to have that skill and you want to practice it so that you can use it. So here we'll have Trek. Very nicely done. So you can see that she waited just a hair there at the tunnel to give Trek a moment to get out of that tunnel and to key in on the jump, and then she applied that pressure. So here we'll have the slow-mo. And here, I want to show you this one more time, this slow motion, and I want you to watch Venture's head as he's taking the jump, because this is what I like to see on the rear crosses. I like to see them, here he's going to come, I want to see him taking the jump on the wing where the turn is. And you can see here, he's not in the middle of the jump, he's in that, from his perspective, right third of the jump. And that's what I'm looking for there. So those are the handling options that we set up on this particular sequence. And then we have a download if you want to try something that we call the challenge sequence. So again, this is from our, we do this in our prep courses. We also do this as part of the VIP program that's open right now. We have a setup like this, a small space setup, and we'll give you multiple ways to run the original sequence. So these are taken from events with real spacing, real angles, and that gives us a little bit of variety in what we're seeing so that we're not falling victim to our own patterns of setup, of how we design things, right? So we're going to take the sequence as it appeared in a real course, and we're going to look at different ways to handle it and how to best handle those particular maneuvers. So how to best do a front cross here, how to best do a rear cross here, or what you have to watch for in that particular situation. But then we're going to take the same setup and we're going to have a completely different renumbering, usually with quite a bit more challenge. But if you get the download today, I think that all competitors can really take those, and if you don't have the skills to run through all 8 obstacles, just do 1, 2, reward, 1, 2, 3, reward. Just build up the small sequences, identify the places where you need a little work on a skill, and use the setup to get that work in. And I think a lot of people will be pleasantly surprised at the skills that their dog shows them when they push them a little bit with these challenging sequences. So can you put the graphic up that says, not the one with the comments, but the second one. So my fancy comment and you get a message isn't working right now. So you'll just have to go to baddogagility.com/summer3. That should be on the screen right now. And if you go there, you're going to be able to get the download. And it's going to have this course map so that you can get all of the proportions right, the distances and everything. And then it's also going to have 3 different challenging renumberings. So can you go ahead and switch back to me? All right, so do we have any questions? And while they're getting me the questions, for those of you who are interested in our VIP program, it closes this Saturday. So if you're going to join us for that, it is all year long training and personal feedback from us. So you're going to get exercises like this every month. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to let everybody know is that this show, the Bad Dog Agility Show, we've been doing it weekly for 3 or 4 months now. I think we have 15 episodes. And that is going to move to monthly. So we're going to do this show monthly, public for everybody. Everybody can do that just like you're doing it right now on our Facebook page. And then we're going to have another once a month, a second live show that's only for our VIP members. So if you can't get enough Bad Dog Agility Show, then you can join us at the VIP program, and that's baddogagility.com/VIP. And we are completely open to any questions you have. So just email us, message us if you have any questions about the program. But now, do we have any questions about this right now?
Here, I'll come over here, and then you can answer.
Sure.
Melanie says that when she slows down, her dog stops and does not take the jump. So what do you recommend when that happens?
So we want to do a couple of things. We want to build up your dog's drive and their confidence. So it may be just as simple as letting your dog know that they are correct to take the jump. So if I'm coming in, I might do some deceleration practice where I put the toy on the other side and I put it like around the wing because I want my dog taking the jump and curving. So I put the toy right here and I'm just going to let my dog jump and take it, and then build up that skill. But also, if you need to know your dog and how much deceleration they need. So a big strided dog that's going to launch from, this far in front of the jump, they need a really strong deceleration cue to get a wrap. Otherwise, you're going to lose them over the jump. It's going to take this big, wide, loopy turn. A very small dog or a dog that doesn't have as much drive into the jump may not need as strong of a deceleration cue as another dog needs. So you need to find that line for your dog, but I would also say that you need to increase your dog's confidence and their drive in general so that they don't do that. And if it's on rear crosses, that's another place where we'll see dogs not want to take the jump. So when we did our rear cross exercise, as the dog's coming in, you're trying to let them get out ahead of you, and they're just not going. They're just not going for that jump, and you end up going all the way with them, and then maybe they finally take it here, and then you try to rear, and a lot of times they're going to turn the wrong way and things like that. So again, we want to teach them to drive forward, and we can do that by, as they're coming out, we can throw our toy through the uprights as we cross to give them something to drive for. We can also use an assistant to show them a toy, to give them that initial confidence that they are doing the correct thing, and then lavishly praise them.
How do you do with drop bars?
Drop bars. So I think drop bars is different for every dog and handler team. I think it depends a lot on your situation and your history. So for me right now, it's like 95 degrees out. I'm a little bit forgiving. And also, I find that I like to work low bars when it's hot, and to kind of get a little bit of practicing in, and but not as much strain on my dog. But that does kind of mess with their rhythm a little bit if they're not used to it. So I'm pretty forgiving in that circumstance. But if I'm coming out fresh and I'm working through a sequence, I will typically, for my dog, stop because he does have a tendency to knock bars. So I will stop, but I do not punish. I don't show any annoyance at him. I don't give him any marker. I just stop, and that in and of itself, for my dog, he knows instantly that, oh man, you know, I did it again. I dropped that bar. And we just go and we set up again, and then I'm gonna lavishly praise when he gets it right. Even when he drops a bar, and even when I stop the sequence, I will, after a half a second, I will tell him get it and let him tug with me as I put the bar back. And I call that a micropause, and for my dog, anything more than that is going to hurt his confidence on that, which I don't want. So all I want to do is communicate to him that wasn't right, and that doesn't take much, that communication. I'm not punishing, I'm communicating, and then I'm going to work on letting him know, you know, that I'm really happy with him when he's right. One of our other dogs so rarely knocks bars that we wouldn't even blink an eye because it's not a pattern of behavior. If she dropped a bar, then probably it was a late cue, a slip in the grass, a slip in the dirt. So for that kind of dog, you're just not even going to worry about it because there is no issue. There's no like long-term issue that you need to work through.
All right. Marissa wants to know, do we have any advice for increasing drive for a treat-driven dog?
Okay, yes. So for treat-driven dogs, I went to, if y'all are familiar with Agility Right from the Start, it's a book written by, and I can't say their names, they're two gals in Sweden? Finland, I've forgotten. But I went to a seminar of theirs and they said something that I really loved. They said, you don't need a tug, but you need something that functions as a tug. So why do we use tug? We use tug to increase our dog's like arousal level, and because we want, placement of reward is so important in agility, right? If I'm always giving food off of me, what is my dog going to do? They're going to look at me all the time on course. I need to reward my dog on their line 90% of the time, out in front of them, not looking at me, driving forward. And I can do that really well with the tug, which is why I like tug. Now, if you don't have tug, you need to find a way to be able to do that with food. And one of the ways that you can do that is like with one of those toys where you can put food inside of it. And I think Brittany is going to demo right now. So, you know, you've seen Trek on all of our videos, and Trek is primarily a dog motivated by food, and Brittany uses almost exclusively food with Trek. So here, all right, right here. And so she uses like one of these little thingies where she puts food in this, and she can throw it. Or this one is like she can tug with it, but she can also put food inside of it, right? So you need a dog that's not going to take this and eat it, right? And you need a dog that's not going to run away with it. But what I like to do is I like to throw it as if it's a toy. It gives your dog something for them to track, something for them to chase after. And then you just run up, and they're going to run up to it, and they're just going to stop and look at it because they're not toy dogs. They're not going to play with it. They're just going to look at it, and you're going to run up, and you're going to say, good dog, and you're going to feed them out of it. And so in that way, you are going to use food, but it is going to function like a tug. The other thing that you can do with food, even when you give it by hand to kind of get some of that increase in arousal level, is to make your dog work for it a little bit. So you can have them jump for a treat. You know, you can have like 4 or 5 treats, and you can say, get it, and let them jump up to your hand just a little bit to get the treat. This is going to be, is going to create more arousal in your dog than just handing them the treat. And this is something that we had a podcast with Michael Ellis, and he talked about turning your treat delivery into what he called an event. So he would make these dogs chase the food before they could get it. And in that way, you're going to get that increased arousal level.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add.
Yes.
You can just hold it there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna hold her very close. And I just wanted to add, because I had a dog, a couple of dogs that were far more food motivated than toy motivated, and it's a really big deal because, you know, so many people are telling you to get out there and tug with your dog and you have to use toys. You know, that's just not true. So if you have a very food motivated dog, there's one advantage you have over every toy driven dog that ever lived, and it's that when you're using food, you've all been doing this every day, at least once a day, from the very first day that you got your dog as a puppy. Some of you have been doing it 2 or 3 times a day. And that's feeding your dog, right? There's a whole ritual and a routine behind feeding your dog. And so your dog builds tremendous value for their food bowl, okay? And this is something that even the best trainers, even the most serious competitive trainers, they're unlikely to have played tug or other games or with toys with their dog every single day of that dog's life. But you, the owner of a food-motivated dog, you have literally fed your dog every single day. So
We hope.
You're going to take that reinforcement history and you're going to put it to use for you. What I like to do is bring out their dog food bowls. And for my larger dogs, I will even bring out these big bowls they're like this, you know, that are like
The big
18
ceramic
inches
ones,
wide.
right?
The big ceramic ones, the big silver ones, things that are highly visible. And you can either use them as a lure by having food in there, letting the dog see you put food in there, right? Or eventually you work up to having the bowl be empty. The dog knows it's empty, and the dog is going to meet you there. And then even from far away, if you're using distance handling or regular handling, then you can come up there and add food to the dog bowl. So you can use dog bowls to replace the idea of throwing a toy, because your dog, even you're cleverly putting tasty treats inside these fancy bags with Velcros and things, they work great for a lot of dogs. Some dogs, it still doesn't help that much. So I like to just go to the dinner bowls, and I find that brought out a lot of drive. Golden Retriever and Rottweiler were the 2 breeds that I was working with, worked really, really well. So don't be afraid to get your food bowls out, even on an already trained dog. When Gitchy started having problems with her seesaw, and we only had 2 weeks before nationals, right, and I needed to get some kind of seesaw behavior, I just took out an enormous silver bowl, and that's where she got her dinner for like 3 or 4 days. And by the end, her seesaws were much, much better. And that was just over 3 or 4 days. So don't be afraid to go back and use that. Don't listen to people who tell you, well, it's a target, it's a lure, they're not going to have a dog bowl in the show. Dog training just doesn't work that way. So food motivated dog, it's okay. My big tip is use your dog's dinner.
All right. Any other comments?
When is it appropriate to use the Yako? I have a fast high drive Westie and I have to use a lot of distance and verbal sprites and lots.
Okay, so I will give you my take on it because my field. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, when is it appropriate to use a Yako turn? So somebody has a high drive Westie, when is it appropriate to use a Yako turn? So I think anytime you want a 180-degree wrap, then it's a decent place for Yako. Now, my other criteria is I want my dog either coming in straight or coming in slightly at the angle that they're already going. If my dog is coming from this direction and I need them to wrap this way, I'm probably not going to Yako turn because my dog is already set up to slice in that direction. I would probably do something more, you know, like shaping like a reverse V set and then doing a blind. But so for a Yako, I want my dog heading straight or slightly at an angle, and I just want to get into it and out of it as fast as possible. So I think that if you come in as they're committing to the jump, if you take off, your movement in the opposite direction actually helps them distinguish that this is a Yako turn. Because the one thing that you are going to see if you do these turns is sooner or later your dog, as you turn into them, they're going to read rear. They're going to turn that way. So that's how I'm going to let my dog know well in advance it's not a rear, is as he's preparing, I'm already taking off and I'm heading this way, and that helps pull him right around the wing. So the Yako can work great when you have these off-course scenarios that you want to keep your dog off of. But again, like I said, a really well-trained decel can have the same effect. So that's why I like to try both, because there are going to be some dogs that they don't read decel as well, or they need more practice on their decel, and then you may find that the Yako works beautifully for them. So it's nice to have those options. But I would still continue to build that deceleration skill so that you don't always have to depend on it. The other thing about the Yako, for those who are less familiar with it, is that A Yako is basically the equivalent of just turning. So my dog is on my left. I'm just going to turn. My dog is still on my left, right? When I do the Yako, my dog is on my left. I'm going to do this. My dog is on my left. So there's no actual side change. You turn, the dog is going around you, you end up with the dog on the same side. So this is not a move that you can interchange with a front cross, which is where you would come in here, you would do this, you would front cross, and now I have my dog on my right hand. If I were going this jump and the rest of the course went off that way, I might do a front cross, but I would not do a Yako in that spot. So you want to think of a Yako as a replacement for a plain turn, a plain wrap, or people will call this a post turn, just a turn in place. It is not a replacement for a front cross, because a front cross requires you to have your dog start on one side and end up on the other side, and that does not happen with the Yako turn. All right, any other questions? All right, that's it, everybody. So make sure to get your download at baddogagility.com/summer3. And if you have any questions about the VIP program, there's tons of information at baddogagility.com/VIP, or just email us or message us, and we'll get you whatever answer you need. So we're here to answer all the questions that you have about that. And so this is our last Bad Dog Agility show for a little while, because we're going to go to that once a month format. So keep an eye out on our mailing list, or in our Facebook messages, or on our Facebook page, and we will let you know when we schedule the next one. We'll come up with a good, easy way to remember what Wednesday of the month it's going to be. And we might have to move the time too, because oh my gosh, it is getting hot here. So we're struggling a little bit at 7 o'clock. Might have to push it even later here in Houston. All right, everybody, happy training.